Yes, welcome back. It's still IBB at 80 on Journalist Hangout. Now, in 8 years, the regime of General Ibrahim Babangida made some remarkable achievements in terms of infrastructure and institutional reforms. As military president, he also made some mistakes. Joining us on more insights, our guest should be ready by now. Do you have Nasir Zaradin online?
Yes, I'm online.
Thank you for joining us. For more insight, we have Nasir Zaradin. Thank you, thank you. And
thank you.
IBB has, how would you describe General Babangida? What made him special?
Well, I think no matter how one perceives the, person and politics of General Ibrahim Babangida, he cannot be justifiably denied the credit that, he has a deep perception and considerable understanding of the political landscape of this country. He was centrally involved in, some of the unforgettable events or moments in Nigeria's military rule, for instance. And he has witnessed about every twist and turn imaginable in running this country. He has indeed contributed his quota as a president in this country. He brought stability, he brought unity. In fact, what I can say is President Ibrahim Babangida has transformed Nigeria from a state of volatility to that of stability. Yes, he made some mistakes, which is human, and which a lot of people are trying to use to hang him. But I think we should also look at some of the achievements of President Ibrahim Babangida, like you have rightly enumerated in the program.
Okay. Jide. Okay, I'll just tell you to pause there, and we'll take you back to Mina, where the General Babangida is still standing by.
Thank you.
Yes, you are credited with so many infrastructure landmarks in our country. Which one readily comes to your mind as giving you the greatest joy as our president?
Two of those projects. One is the third mainland bridge in Lagos, and the other one is Abuja, Kaduna, Kano double expressway.
Many people complained at that time that the Abuja, that the project to build the federal capital was extremely expensive, especially the roads. Do you have any regrets in terms of the criticism of the high cost of building those roads in Abuja at the time?
Well, I thank God that at the time we built those roads, I think I can tell you that I spent less than 500 million to construct those roads from Abuja to Kano, which by the president's standard, I think I need some 500 billion to do that.
How about the, talking about the roads within the seat of power itself? They complained that they were too expensive to build. That's the point that I'm making. Do you have...
Well, our thought then was simply the roads have to be the best. And today, Abuja's roads are 40 years old. And I still believe you don't have potholes in Abuja today.
Okay, it's because we are moving towards next election cycle now, and we wanted to ask you again about the unity of this country. We've already spoken your mind, but we want you to reiterate it again. What do you think people calling, agitating here and there, for calling for the balkanization of the country.
Well, that will be unfortunate if there are people in this country today who will be talking about the balkanization of the country. It will be sad. About over 1 million people died in trying to keep this country together. I think we will not be fair to those of them who died, those who got wounded, those who were maimed, those whose families have lost their parents and so on. We wouldn't be fair to them if we call for the balkanization of this country, because those people who died for the purpose of keeping this country one.
Let's talk about the bullet that is still lodged in your body. We want you to throw some light on that. You had a surgery to redress the radiculopathy that you were suffering. Why have you refused to have that bullet lodged in your body during the Civil War removed?
It's 1967.
I was assured by one of the best doctors in this country, a gentleman called Professor Elebute, that it could rest, the bullet could rest peacefully on my body, and I didn't have to. I made the decision myself because I got that assurances from the professor. I didn't have to get myself cut.
General,
I was scared of being operated at that time.
Oh, you are scared.
Since how many years?
Do you feel some pain?
1969.
1969.
69.
Do you feel some pains still going around with this bullet still lodged in your body?
No, like the professor rightly observed, I don't feel pains. So I accept that the bullet is resting comfortably.
Now, Nigeria is challenged now in terms of security across the country, from the east to the northwest to north central. And during your time as the military head of state, we never had this kind of insurgency, and we never had to face war and terrorism. What can we do to surmount these challenges?
Well, a lot of discussions have went on how to combat these are challenges that all developing countries face, I must admit. But I think all we need to do is to mobilize the entire nation, the people, for the purposes of fighting this insurgency. The people have to be mobilized. The military have to be trained and be provided with very good equipment.
Do you, okay. Do the current generation of Nigerian leaders request for your advice to tackle some of the big problems confronting our nation? Do they routinely ask for your advice? And do you readily offer such advice?
I'm a retired general now, so I'm always available to offer any advice that I could be asked.
You are reputed to have taken the capital from Lagos and to Abuja and to build one of the best cities in the world. Don't you think compensation should have been paid to Lagos State? You know, that it is done in other parts of the world. When you move your capital from one place to the other, then you pay compensation, maybe then or even now.
There was a talk about that before we left office. And I'm very happy that it was brought up also. I remember not long ago, the people from the Lagos House of Assembly came to me, and we had a very good discussions about that. I hope they will take it up from there.
Okay. Lagos House of Assembly, that's the challenge to them. They plan to make listen. So we want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you. We wish you well. Happy birthday, General. I hope you keep watching Journalist Hangouts. Your final message to Nigerians.
They should continue to be very hopeful that they have a very good country, the potential of which is limited, and all we need to do is to resolve that we will make the country greater. We have a lot of examples in the world that how great countries came about. We should emulate them, and we also should provide an extremely good leadership at all levels to mobilize the people towards achieving these objectives.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We still have that General Ibrahim Badamasi
We'll be seeing you soon to
Niger State
to celebrate the birthday with you.
We wish him well, and we still have even other guests lined up. And today, is especially dedicated to IBB at 80. So we still have Mr. Zaradin on.
Zaradin.
Where does this stand among Nigerians?
Nigerian leaders.
Nigerian leaders. Hello?
Aji Zaradin.
Hello?
Yes.
Where does
Come again,
IBB stand? Where does IBB stand
among
in the
Nigerian
pantheon
leaders?
of Nigerian leaders?
Well, I think he has written his name not only in indelible ink, but in gold in the annals of Nigerian history. You cannot write Nigerian history without writing the 8 years of President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. He has brought, like you have said rightly, during the program, a lot of progress in terms of infrastructural development, agricultural development, health sector. There is no sector, even the aluminium smelter plant. So you can see even industrialization is there. So IBB will continue to remain one of the leaders that Nigerians will remember forever.
Thank you. We want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for celebrating with the former president, military president of Nigeria, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And we still hope in the course of the program that we'll be joined by Alhaji Danladi Bako. Danladi Bako was the former Director General of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission.
Yes, and one time the poster boy of Nigerian TV as anchor of the popular Morning
Ride.
Yeah.
And so coming back to the studio now, when you want to see the development in the country right now, there are still issues that people will still want to say, it's still an active member of the People's Democratic Party.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm sure if you want to become anything in PDP now, you want to do anything, you must go to the Mina to see General. That shows how influential and everything he is. So when you want to look at him, should he still be hanging on there? I remember Olusegun Obasanjo saying his party card, or should he just be that elder statesman, the father of all, instead of being identified with one political party?
Well, even the great American leaders, they stick with their party. They stick with their party until they take their last breath. I'm sure that Obama will stick with his party until his final day. George H.W. Bush stood by his party. You know, that's the way it's going
President
to be.
Bill Clinton.
Yes, and they will still make big comments on any election day. You know, to say, okay, this is we have to vote and all that. So it's not a bad idea. He was part of the creation of the party. He financed the party. IBB famously gave 1 million to each of the PDP chapters in the 774 local governments in our country in the year 1998. So he has a big stake in the party himself, and people like the intelligence chief, Guso. I don't see them leaving the PDP.
Okay, joining us now is Alhaji Danladi Bako. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
How are you?
It's a privilege to see you, talk to you.
Morning
when I was growing up as a young man.
We are morning rides
on TVC Channel 5, morning ride, before you became the DG and after being a politician. Thank you for always following Journalist Hangout. Thank you for being with us all the way.
So what can you tell us about
IBB?
About IBB and his friendship with Abiola. You were immensely close to the late Abiola. You had access to his bedroom. You were immensely close. He gave you the opportunity to be able to dispense cash to the needy. So, and these were friends. What will you say to us about the friendship between both men?
Good evening, Nigerians, and Babangida, thank you for this opportunity, as usual. I followed you all when you were winning awards from left, right, and center. I don't know how many there are now again, but I congratulate all of you. Yeah. Now, there are things that certainly always plagues a man, up to his midnight hours when he has challenges to think about how to resolve some of those things. One of those very crucial, difficult moments for me was when the clash between the two gentlemen came to the fore. All through the election period and campaigns, there were moments where I said to myself, just in case they did not work, what would happen between these two men? There was a situation where I was extremely loyal and friendly with General IBB. By the way, if he's watching, happy birthday, sir. I did the recordings and IMF loan, the SAP arguments and debate. Was me that would carry the camera and go to Jordan Barracks. I know every corner of Jordan Barracks. I had the privilege of working with Better Life with late
Miriam Babangida.
I mean, yes. And even when she died, it was me that took Mrs. Mandela to Mina to go and pay condolence to General IBB. I mean, to tell you how close, every day when I met Hajia Mariam, she'll ask me, how is our mutual auntie? That is Mrs. Winnie Mandela. Because the time when Mandela came in 1990, I was at the National Stadium. I covered that assignment. When they came back again after a while, 2005, the Benedict University doctorate, it was me that had to fix everything. So I took them to Mina. They had fun. They had everything. So I was caught in between an MKO who had asked me in 1980 to join Concord newspapers. And I said I was in Unilag to do my MSc Mass Comm. And I was doing my master's in Mass Comm 1980. And he invited me to come and join Concord. And I said to him that the future of the media was in broadcast, not so much in print, with all due respect. And he was angry. And to cut long story short, we became very good friends. And I stayed in NTA. I didn't go to Concord as he wanted. And he promised that whenever there is private TV in the country, I should come and head Concord TV. Amazing. This is 1980-81. So I understand what was between both men and how at one point, even when a call comes through from Jordan Barracks, he will go on his knees to answer that call.
Given their friendship, how surprised were you that the June 12 election was annulled?
I understood the dynamics of the military. Remember that when you get into Jordan Barracks, you know, sometimes I had the privilege of being with President General Babangida and people who were lieutenant colonels and colonels will come in, and I will be with him, and they will be made to stand and salute and go. So I was extremely close to the colonel.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll come back to Alhaji Dalila Dibako. We have to. That's the sore point in the life of General Babangida, and he has refused to write. He has refused to tell us.
But he has not changed
all
the story.
The answers I've been hearing, or all the interviews I've been hearing, he's
been saying the same thing, like a swan song. On the June 12th, he has not changed his story. Whether Nigerians believe his story is a different kettle of fish. Not many Nigerians agree that we should have taken.
But we've gathered that we had some undercurrents that led to that annulment.
It is not a decision that he wanted to take initially. But some generals surrounded him, applied pressure on him to take that decision.
And General Babangida today will not tell you this.
No. He has refused to come out to say, oh, some generals did this. The closest to saying that was that he felt that there would be a coup against...
They will revolt against him.
Yes, and he recently said, look, the removal of Shonekon from office justified his decision to annul the election, saying indirectly that Abiola, the same fate will have been visited on Abiola. But Nigerians would not buy that. Nigerians would rather say, look, you are the president. Then why did you leave Abacha behind? You retired. You left Abacha behind. And Abacha harbored a desire to be president as well. So when you left Abacha behind,
it's as if you are giving...
IBB's explanation was that he wanted Abacha to give solidity,
stability
to the international government. But it turned out a different way. There was a man who wanted to be president. People had been calling him Khalifa, and you left him behind.
And our former presidents that are still alive, our former military head of state, except for General Olusegun Obasanjo, that writes. Not everybody. Ernest Shonekon has not told us. He's still alive today. What transpired, how he resigned, how he was, whatever situation, circumstances, he resigned. And IBB is still there, and IBB has still not written his book.
Well, I think at one point in human history, the truth will be told. Because in the Armed Forces, AFRC, of which IBB was the chairman, Armed Forces Ruling Council, he was the chairman. I'm sure they took minutes. So at one point in order, you know, when you read about British American history, things that happened 50 years, one day, the truth will be revealed. So I know that it's a matter of time that Nigerians will get to know what actually happened. But you know, there were two annulments. The first one was in 1992, when Yar'Adua and Adamu Siroma.
Yes, I remember that.
They won the primaries. Yes. And then the outcome was, so it gave the impression that this annulment was pre-planned.
Okay,
but they need to prove.
Okay, let's just reconnect with Danladi Bako and just take the last part of this. So, Danladi, we're still talking about the annulment, and General Babangida has not told Nigerians, or he has been telling Nigerians what transpired, but he has not written, he has not documented it. Hello, Danladi, are you there? Hello? So,
we'll get him.
He
said he may not eventually write a book on that subject matter, but he has been repeating the same thing. He has said this so many times. And
are you there?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we're talking about this annulment of June 12th being a very big cross that General Buhari might even carry till the end, and he has refused to document it. General Babangida.
Well, I think, yes, I think he alluded to some facts that, as you say today now, there's a cabal, or there was a cabal somewhere till date. That story still remains that at a particular time, there were people, there were forces within the military that were pretty strong. There was so much that it was difficult for him to be able to take a unilateral decision. There was no doubt about the fact that we were very quick close friends. He had incredible respect for Abiola. I saw that several times. And I know that, and I know the kind of relationship there was. I think the cabal that were inside were already thinking. I suspect that for people who probably thought that the moment a military regime handed over to a civilian regime at that time in 1993, that would be the Fourth Republic, and at that time, they won't have an opportunity to be able to come back as military presidents because they will have to go to the barrack permanently. So they needed to truncate so that they can have another shot of another military regime before they hand over to. Because there was a cycle. Many of those that joined the army at certain times are hoping to become president someday. They were hoping to become, presidents. So if you hand it over, you shut the door to them. So they had to truncate that. And I think General Babangida was under intense pressure. I think I have a clear idea of many of the gentlemen that were around him at that time. A few of them are still alive. They're still alive. And I think someday the story will be told. But there are quite a lot of them that had a hand in it to ensure that it was not a unilateral decision by
Okay, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, the former DG of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, Dan Ladi Bako. Thank you, Alhaji Dan Ladi Bako. Thank you for always being with Journalist Hangouts. We are grateful.
Thank you for the honor.
Thank you, Babangida. Thank you, Ayan. Thank you,
Wale.
other colleagues.
Yeah, thank you.
Wale, yes. My pleasure.
Another edition, dedicating this edition to that man himself. When I spoke to you earlier today, you described General Babangida as one of the most influential politicians in Nigeria today.
One of the most influential statesmen. He's still very influential. In the last 30 or 40 years, he's been the factor in Nigerian politics. A lot of the people in the National Assembly paid their way into the National Assembly, financed their election. So he's still very influential. People still go to him for one favor or another. So we wish him more years.
Yeah, whatever we do in life, history will take good account at the right time. We should try and be very good, because at one point or the other, people will write about what we have done right and what we have done wrong.
Yes.
And it's a wrap on this special edition to mark the 80th anniversary of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program, and don't forget to join us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on Journalist Hangout on Sunday.